Hello and welcome. Dear friends, we all are going to go back to Tretayug. And you can ask me why we are going to Tretayug. Then I have a plausible reason for that. The video that I am making right now is closely connected to Tretayug. You can ask why. And you can ask me when Tretayug existed. And I can give you chapter and verse. Tretayug existed 3,600 years ago. 3,600 divine years ago. Which is equal to 12 lakhs 96,000 human years. Unimaginable. And we feel that we really feel boggled down when we think of so long a time. Can it be possible? Yes, it was possible. And most possibly, I believe so, you and I, or all of us, existed. And we were the witness. We were the living testimony that time. We could see with our own eyes Lord Rama. Then the question rises why we call it Tretayug. The answer is that in this yuga we could see three incarnations of Lord Vishnu. The first, Lord Rama, the second, Lord Vamana, and the third, Lord Parshuram. That's the reason we call it Tretayug. And Tretayug, something happened that changed the course of history, not only in that time, but also for the years and years and thousand and million years to come. The course of history was changed. And that happening has a relevance to the present time also. Let me attract your attention to what happened that time. The king of righteousness, the king of justice, the king of virtue, the king of reverence, admiration, virtuosity was his ornament. Lord Rama himself. And he vanquished the king of demons, the Dashanana, who was the embodiment of all vices. And he was unstoppable. And when something happens that one person thinks that he has become invincible and he has no vulnerability, then his excessive pride, chauvinism, has to be crushed, has to be defeated. And Lord Rama himself raised his army, in the army which was never seen before, and the army, invincible army that was raised by Lord Rama himself, defeated, vanquished the super powerful army of king of demons, the Dashanana himself. When Lord Rama himself was present in the battlefield, and he was shooting the fatal arrows on the battlefield of Lanka, and he was killing the demons one after another. He became catastrophic, and he himself donned the mantle of death. He was so powerful because he was the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. But Demon's King could not understand that because he was buried under the rubble of his excessive pride, his chauvinism. Lord Rama was on the side of righteousness. He was the representative of justice, virtue, harmony, welfare, altruism, truthfulness. And he knew the purpose of power and the power of purpose. On the other hand, the demon's king did not know that. Despite these facts that I have shared with you, when he shot lethal arrows and Dashanana was nearing his end, he was on deathbed, Lord Rama told his younger brother Lakshman that go to Dashanana, go to Ravana, and request him to share his impeccable amount of knowledge with you. Because that age did not know anybody else who could equal Dashanana in the realm of knowledge. Dashanana was an erudite, he was a pandit. And so tremendous his knowledge was that in the whole firmament that time there was nobody who could equal his amount of knowledge. Then Lord Rama told Lakshmana, go and request him that please share the knowledge that you have with me. And Lakshmana went to dying Ravana Dashanana and he requested him to share the knowledge. The knowledge that could make any normal person, a man who has no equal. A man can succeed by virtue of those commandments or those points of knowledge that was shared by Dashanana himself. What I want to say, the point that I want to drive home when I'm making this video is, even this time has a connection to that watershed event that changed the course of the history. In the battlefield, Lord Rama was talking about knowledge. And today, the current period is no less than a battlefield. But what we are engaged in, we have engaged ourselves in the unending conversation and debates with the people who also think the way we think. But there is some void, there is some vacuum which has entered our souls, and we are babbling. We all are babbling. We have become the babblers. And nobody is getting anything. We are not thinking that this is the time when we need to realize our real self. We need to discover who we are. And we need to find out the hidden amount of knowledge which is lying buried somewhere under the rubble of our pride. We need to remove the rubble of pride. This debris cannot do anything. We need to understand, we need to remove this debris of hatred and something that we call excessive pride in our own knowledge. There is always prettier, more beautiful, more intelligent, more judicious. If we think that we are the one, we become the Shanana. We are trying to walk into the shoes of the Shanana, and you can understand what the ending is. This is the time. What happened in the Tretayug has relevance today, and it has a lot of relevance because to the present time, because we have been wasting our time, the precious time which can never be regained. We have been wasting it in some unproductive, no innovation, nothing which is productive, or we are doing it continuously. And this continual disturbance is being caused by all of us. So let us not talk about something that I have spoken about. I have driven home my point that even in the crisis, we can find that we can share wonderful amount of knowledge. I have made a great video for you today. As far as the vocabulary is concerned, I have discovered a few words from this crisis. Even you must have heard about all those words. We are going to share those words so that they become indelible on our memory, and we are not going to forget them anytime. So let's delve in, let's jump in. I'm talking about COVID-19 pandemic vocabulary. Successful vocabulary. A successful vocabulary is the vocabulary that can be used to make beautiful sentences, that can be used to arrest the attention of the people, that can be used to win the hearts of the listeners, that can be used to understand people much better, that can be used to read the minds of people, that can be used to open up to people who we have never seen before, who we have never interacted before. Vocabulary can be used to reserve a permanent place in the heart of people. We can become wonderful interlocutor. We can become wonderful conversationalist. We can win conversations, not to win, not in the manner of winning or losing. We can win the hearts through the conversation. Words have depth, and you need to understand the efficacy of words. So let's go pandemic vocabulary, and the first word that I have brought is virology, the science which is studying the virus and which is telling us, exposing us to more and more information available about viruses. What infectious agents made of DNA or RNA inside of a protein envelope that can only grow and multiply by using the machinery of other cells. And because of this requirement, many scientists do not consider viruses to be living organisms. Scientists do not think that viruses are the living organisms because they are kind of parasites. They need a body, they need a machinery of other cells. That's why viruses are not considered to be living organisms. So second word that comes up, the coronavirus. Even the pronunciation I have written for you, because pronunciation is extremely important. So I am trying to give you many other things also. We are going to possess different kind of skills. We are going to master different kind of skills through one skill. So coronavirus, I have given that this is schwa, that you will, you and I shall definitely discuss in detail sometime later on. But right now we are not going to talk about what this E upside down, or it has been rotated. You can understand if you rotate it 180 degrees, so you can understand that we can have an E. It is called the schwa in phonology or phonetics. So coronavirus is the virus that came from or that has been given birth by China, and it has destructed the lives across the globe. So next word is coronavirus. Relates to which virus species or which virus family. It is a severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. So here is severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. This is the name that you can understand where it has come from. So they all seem to be related to one family, which is SARS, S-A-R-C. You must have heard the name. It also, it plundered the entire, I must say, the world when it attacked, and it was a very inhuman incursion that time. Novel, we are saying it novel, the novel that you read, the novel that you understand. So what novel we are talking about? We are not talking about any novel, or we are not talking about any novel that you think, yes, the spelling and pronunciation is same, but this novel is something new, which has never been experienced earlier, never been experienced before. Novel. So you can understand the pronunciation. Novel, something new, have never been experienced or has never been experienced before. novel, new. So coronavirus is a new virus. We do not know anything about it. By the time I'm talking to you, we have gathered momentous success, and we have garnered a lot of information about novel coronavirus. Pneumonia. So you can see we have one more schwa comes here, and this schwa tells us that we are not going to speak the way we speak pneumonia. No, pneumonia. So pneumonia is a disease when we have swelling in the lungs, and lungs get weakened due to swelling, and sometimes one of the most prominent and pronounced symptoms that we have witnessed and experienced during novel coronavirus, it is pneumonia, right? So it's a disease, and it catches, it grips even it's a normal disease too. Not only it has attacked during coronavirus, it has become more pronounced, but it is attacking the children especially, right? So let's move forward. Morbidity. So what is morbidity? Morbidity is the people who have attracted or who have contracted disease. Even morbidity is related to disease. The people who have attracted disease. It means dis-ease. The people who are uncomfortable, and they have attracted, they have exhibited and displayed, or they have manifested the symptoms of coronavirus, novel coronavirus. We can call it morbidity. So morbidity, sometimes it is synonymous, it is supposed to have some relationship with the mortality. So somewhere more or less they become same, which means death rate and the people who have lost their lives. So here you can understand the people who are not at ease. They have diseased people. They are diseased people, and they have attracted or contracted novel coronavirus, morbidity, right? In any case, proning, one of the words which everybody has been talking about when oxygen carrying capacity, and oxygen has become a buzzword, and everybody who has low amount capacity, who has low amount of oxygen, he needs to have oxygen just in a heartbeat, or people are rushing to the hospitals just to have some good shots of oxygen, and oxygen is a crisis. Oxygen is not available. But to have more oxygen, to make the system, our system, work and get more oxygenated blood, we do the exercise which leads to proning. What is proning? If you allow yourself to the chest faces down and the stomach faces down, and you take a deep breath, and then after some time, if your oxygen level has come down to somewhere 84 or 90 or 89, then you do this exercise that we call proning. Long breath, deep breath, and chest and stomach it is facing down, and then you take a deep breath, and after some time, when you check after taking long breath, then you breathe in and you get more oxygenated blood, and you check your oxygen again, and it zooms up to, it rockets to 98. Miraculous proning, which has been advised even by the allopathic doctor. It has become miraculous exercise which is being advised by the doctors and the Ayurvedacharya, the people who do not practice allopath. So they all are making it more popular, and this therapy is being popularized by every person. Even the normal people are doing that. So we call it proning. Next word. Containment area. So containment area, you can easily understand this time we could understand containment area, the area which is already infected, but to stop, we are trying to stop, or the government machinery is trying to stop the number of or the incidence, rather incidence, how many people are affected by a novel coronavirus. So in order to stop the incidence, in order to lower the number of COVID affected people, we call it containment area. The specified and the zone that you can call, it is cordoned off, it is the security beefed up, and nobody can make any intrusion, nobody can transport is prohibited. It is completely locked down area, which is going to follow, the word lockdown is going to follow after some time. So the disease is contained. It means it does not spread, it does not penetrate the other areas which are completely free from this novel corona virus. So containment area is the area where we try to, government machinery in association with other corona warriors, we try to stop the number of incidents so that it can be put under control, right? So containment area. Polymerized chain reaction that we call PCR, popularly known. So PCR, what is PCR? It's a DNA sampling. PCR. So it's a kind of DNA sampling, and then after that you could hear, we all have heard RT-PCR, which has become a test that everybody wants to have. And PCR, the polymerase chain reaction, it is a small amount of DNA is taken by the scientists, and in all laboratories across India, this test has become popular and established, and the people start believing in this. And then they amplify it and they try to understand what the infectious agent is. And the results are very bona fide, and results are believed to be extremely truthful. And it is the scientific technology that somewhere it was invented in 1983, I believe. And today, during corona pandemic, it has become a weapon in the hands of all corona warriors, and everybody who has tested positive, either he or she has to be quarantined or isolated, or they are advised to take care of themselves for 14 days. So this PCR test is popularly known as DNA sampling, through which the scientists can understand that what is the intensity, or where is the intensity of infectious agent, right? So PCR test is also known as RT-PCR. The cycles are counted, and after how many cycles the scientists have counted, on the basis of that statistics, they can tell you that whether you are falling in the category of positive people or you are corona free. That's what screening. Screening was related to somewhere in the silver screen, because in Bollywood screening is a very normal word. Screening now in virology, screening is something that your temperature is taken, and after considering that temperature has gone up beyond the normal temperature, if it goes up, then the reasons are known, the reasons are explored why it happened. And if there are some other symptoms which could be related to corona symptoms, then you are told to take care of yourselves, and you are given a number. Your name is taken and your particulars are taken, and your responsibility goes in the hands of government, and government gives you different kind of medicines, different kind of medication that you start taking, and on the basis of that you start developing more and more severe, God forbid, symptoms. And then after 14 days, if you abstain from the things that were advised by the doctors, you become perfectly okay, and your name is stricken off. right? So here, screening is a word, the temperature and other things which can be which can relate themselves to the doctor people or the pharmacists. They can relate better to screening, right? Super spreader. Super spreader are the events or incidents that are believed to intensify or that are believed to intensify the incidence of coronavirus. Now, why? In India and Haridwar, a holy fair is organized every year, or I think every 6 year. It is Kumbh, and it was dubbed as super spreader because nobody there in Haridwar could really obey and could follow SMS, sanitizer, soap, mask, and social distancing. Nobody abstained, and they all were enjoying themselves as they were in normal time. But it was dubbed and it was given a name super spreader because it was responsible. It could have led, and it led to the intensification, or it led to the growing number of corona COVID diseased people. And then even the elections were dubbed as super spreaders because many public figures and especially the leaders, political leaders, and they, without any inhibition, shamelessly, they organized the election fair, and they openly asked the people who were the voters of India to come in hordes, and it was unstoppable. Even it was also called a super spreader. So they intensified the spread of corona COVID, and they were named super spreader. Fatality rate. Now, fatality rate is how many people have lost their lives. How many people died due to COVID. So the number of people who have lost their lives due to COVID-19, they have been given, or we call this event, bad event, fatality rate, even the mortality rate we can call it. How many how many fatalities we have. So the number of people who have lost their lives is the fatality rate. Incidence. Well, incidence is just the number of people who have contracted corona. The number of people. The number of people. Number of people. Or if you want to say the frequency. Frequency of COVID patients. How many people in a specified phase, I'm sorry, PATIENTS. So incidence is something that in a particular phase or span of time, how many people contracted disease, it is known. The number of them, the frequency of them is known as incidence. Right? Next. Mortality rate, we have already spoken about that. We have shared the information. Mortality rate is death rate. So if you say mortality rate or morbidity rate, it is death rate. We can call it death rate. Next, droplet. Droplet, you in the initial phase in 2020, you must have heard that when corona attacked India in the first phase in 2020, we didn't have a large number of fatalities, and it is an airborne disease. It was airborne disease. It means airborne means in the air, waterborne in the water. So it was airborne disease, and in the air we find a droplet. Droplet, which could come from mouth while speaking, which could come from mucus or sputus when we speak, and in the sputus they can be transported from one person to the person who is listening. That's why we had 2 yards of distance. This slogan became famous. 2 yards, 2 gaz ki duri, 2 yards distance. And droplets were responsible. They are responsible. Droplets were responsible. The water kind of small, which cannot be seen with the naked eyes, and they can travel invisibly from one person to the other, and they can enter easily in our system, and we can contract disease, which can show the incubation after 14 days. So droplet is airborne in the air. There were some sputum, or there were some droplets or mucus. Through mucus it could flame, it could even the material or the things that were coming from mouth while speaking or from nose while sneezing, right? So we call them droplets. Mitigation, it's a wonderful word. When a crisis shows its incursion, when a crisis really looms large, then we try to keep it under control. We try to assuage the pain. We try to alleviate the condition and alleviate the condition. We try to ameliorate, right? We try to ameliorate the condition. It means we assuage the pain of the people, lessen the pain of the people. So we mitigate the fatalities. We try to bring down the amount of fatalities, the amount of destruction. We call it mitigate. So if we mitigate something, we come together as cohesive forces, and this cohesive force ensures that the amount of destruction gets as low as possible. It does not really, it should not grow momentous, it should not grow Himalayan, and the severity of the crisis should be brought under control. That is known in the good language. We call it mitigation. Mitigation can also be used during any natural calamity or any man-made disaster, or anything where we see the disaster management people. They understand that how to make it sure that less amount of destruction should happen, and lives of people can be saved in a large number, which is the priority, and they prioritize their work, and they keep mitigation. Mitigation finds the top ranking on their list of priorities. Next word, flatten the curve. Flatten the curve, that when COVID-19 it really hit India, it entered India uninvited, then there was something, if we have a kind of a base, and here one more vertical. So if a kind of fatality is going like this, so the higher the curve, the more dangerous situation it is. So we somewhere try to flatten the curve. If we try to flatten the curve like this, and somewhere the lower the curve, the more pleasant situation it becomes. It means fewer lives are lost, but the higher the curve, the more dangerous and more severe condition we have to face. So the people who have been studying the statistics, they have tried to understand what exactly the situation is on the paper statistics. So they coined a phrase of flatten the curves in order to make the people understand the intricate and the jargon kind of language, and they make it simpler to understand for the normal people. And even the normal people were able to understand the lower the curve, it means less destruction we are going to face. So flatten the curve is not a positive sign. I'm sorry, flatten the curve is a positive sign. So this curve, which is very, kind of sharp, we need to make it here, a kind of plateau. Or after plateau, it should go lower. Maybe it can come here like that. So this is the diminishing. It is diminishing here. It means we are losing less lives, and then one day it will become a straight line, it means the situation is completely under control. Contact tracing. If, God forbid, one of us becomes a corona carrier, and then unintentionally or intentionally, knowingly, unknowingly, we did not follow the SMS, and we did not follow the advisory of the government and the doctors, and we contracted a disease, then how many people came in my touch? How many people came in my contact? Then how many people met me? How many spoke to me? How many people did not maintain 2 yards distance? And the number of the people who were in touch with you, who came in contact with you, it means your contacts are traced and to the last person, so that it can be contained. All people could be advised to take necessary precautions to preempt before the coronavirus hits badly. So preempt the incursion of coronavirus, the contact tracing methodology and this action is taken, and the responsible people who save lives, the corona warriors, the frontliners, the front warriors that we call the nurses, the pharmacists, and the blood banks, and other doctors, and these kind of whole cavalcade and a group of people who save lives. They trace the contacts and they reach the last person who came in touch with you, who came in contact with you. We call it contact tracing, to discover, to find out the whereabouts of the people who met you somewhere. Correct? Immunity, the buzzword of the day. The people who have been talking, everybody is talking about immunity. Now, we are not saying that immunity can only be used in times of COVID. Immunity can also be used in normal period. If some bigwigs, there are some influential people in society, and they have immunity, it means they can get away with crime. They can get away with crime, right? They can get away with crime. They have no vulnerability, and they cannot be put behind bars, and they have pocketed the power of law and order. They have kind of subjugated the law and order system of a country, bigwigs. So they have immunity. Nobody can touch them, right? So they are protected against any committal of crime, right? They can do anything, but they can save their skin, they can save their faces, and they can go scot-free. So when they can go scot-free without without being with no impunity, it means they have no kind of punishment at all. They cannot be punished. It means they enjoy immunity. And in the case of COVID, if you enjoy immunity, it means you are protected. You are safe. You are protected against any danger, protected against any disease, any disease. The disease cannot destroy you. The disease cannot even come to you. Yeah? So you enjoy immunity that you take good food, you take wholesome food, you do exercises, you follow SMS, you follow social distancing, and you do not walk unnecessarily. You do not go to market or meet your friends in person, and you are enjoying being home, right? So you will definitely intensify, and you can empower your immunity, empower that resistance. Immunity you can also call the resistance, the power to resist, the power to resist, and immunity, we have the natural immunity in our body, so we try to strengthen our natural immunity, right? Next word, herd immunity. Even today, India wants to achieve the target of herd immunity. large number of people who have got immunized, who have got vaccinated. It means they have received the power to resist. When large number of people who are in a herd, they receive immunity, we call it herd immunity, we can ensure that even that community or that herd, that cluster of people cannot spread the virus. It can be ascertained. It means they're not going to spread the virus. They would not be the spreader. They would not be the carrier of novel coronavirus. So herd means large number of people who have been vaccinated and now they have no corona symptoms. They are living healthy life and they are normal people now, right? We want more number, growing number in crores. The population of India is 130 crore. We want more large number of people who have achieved the status of herd immunity. Let's move forward. Antibody. Antibody is developed in our body, and when it develops in our body, it means it challenges pathogen, the infectious agent. It challenges pathogen. An antibody, when they get produced in our body, they they start killing the pathogens, the infectious agents, diseases, viral, and then antibody comes from different things to citric acid and many agents of citric acid, many sources of citric acid, vitamin C. If we take vitamin C and different other things too, we take some water, Giloy water, and some other Ayurvedic content, then we can understand the antibody can be developed in our body, which could put up, a very wonderful resistance to novel coronavirus. So antibody, we need to develop more and more antibody in our body. Let's move forward. Next word. Patient 0. Patient 0, now think, I would like you to think Wuhan, the epicenter and the origin of novel corona, COVID-19. So when the first person who carried the virus, who carried the virus. And from one person, my dear friends, from one person, can you imagine the whole world has come in the clutches of fatal, lethal coronavirus today. So first person who spread it further, intensified the spread of novel coronavirus, was called patient 0. Next word. Personal protective equipment. Ppe Kit. India was in shortage, acute shortage, PPE, and all medical officers, the doctors were demanding vociferously. They were demanding PPE kit because they were the people who became the bulwark. They became the bulwark. They became a strong bastion. When they become the strong bastion, which was stopping all foreign elements and the foreign diseases like COVID-19, in the front, corona warriors, doctors were asking for, they were demanding in 2020 personal protective equipment. And India was in acute shortage, in human shortage at that point of time. And all big companies, the multinational companies, came together and they pledged that they would produce adequate number of personal protective equipment. And they made it sure. And India, from being underperformer, we become outperformer. Outperformer means underperformer. Outperformer means we had nothing. We had nothing, no protective equipment we have, no kits we have. And then there came a time when we were exporting personal protective equipment. Ventilators were not available, but we made it. All companies, they cohesively worked, and they worked day in, day nights, and they made it sure that we have the PPE kits. We were no more underperformers. We outperformed ourselves. And then we showed to the world that if we want, we can do anything, right? So personal protective kits, you might have seen that it looks like that somewhere it looks like that bomb squad. You might have seen the people who defuse bombs, bomb squad people. So PPE kit looks like bomb squad kit, bomb squad uniform, or rather uniform I should say. It looks like that, and it protects the doctors and other medical professionals against any COVID or any the pandemic or epidemic kind of disease. So incubation period. What incubation period is? Imagine that you feel that somewhere you exhibit or you display the sign of COVID today, and it will not show its symptoms. It will not manifest completely that you have contracted virus or you have the viral infection, but after 14 days, then they will be badly visible, and you may visit the doctor, and you can be advised to stay home, and you can understand the severity of the disease could be fatal. So incubation is the period when something develops. Here, the birth, and when something develops and reaches the stage where it is, dangerously visible to the other people. We call it incubation period. Even every bad habit, incubation even can be used in normal life. All bad habits, they have their incubation period. Initially, they are Lilliputians, and they are just miniature and minuscule habits. But after some time, they become mammoth and uncontrollable. Even bad habits have the incubation period. So we need to nip them in the bud so that they do not have any incubation period. I'm sorry. So we have come incubation period, we have understood. So always try to understand in yourself that the bad habits, they are insidious, and they sneak into you, they sneak into ourselves, and when they sneak into surreptitiously, then you cannot detect them, you cannot diagnose them, and then when they manifest themselves gigantic, and their growth cannot be controlled, they go out of control, beyond control, you have to pay dearly for them. So bad habits have the incubation period. Detect and diagnose them early on. Next word, diagnose. Now, diagnose is a general word. Even in the education field, diagnose, a wonderful word. You see, diagnose. This is schwa. Diagnose. This is right. So diagnose is something to test, run some tests, to detect, to examine, right? To examine somebody. You can use them even in the normal life. It's not a word of COVID-19, but it can relate itself to any normal or peace. When there's a peace, or a peace is established and normalcy is maintained. So diagnose can be used anywhere. And diagnose reminds me one more word, prognosis. Prognosticate. 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 So prognosticate just means that on the grounds of diagnosis, diagnosis. You diagnose a person on the grounds of diagnosis, then you can tell the possible outcomes when they will occur, and down the line in the future, what will happen, what you can face, and many things can be predicted. So possible predictions can be called prognosis. Possible predictions. And prognosis is a wonderful word, prognosis. I would like you to use this word in your daily life, prognosis. Right? Diagnosis, prognosis, prognosticate, and diagnose. The verb form, this is, here it is a verb form, noun form comes up. Let's move forward. Immunocompromised. If your immunity weakened. If your immunity is weakened. Low immunity you have, your immunity has been compromised. Weak or weakened immunity. Right? So weakened immunity is immunocompromised. If you are the one who has weakened immunity, you are immunocompromised person. Even the word compromise can be used in a beautiful way. You can beautify your language, fine-tune your efficiency in speaking precisely, and compromise can be used in different ways. Let me tell you one of the ways. Compromise, for example, the welfare has been compromised. If I say welfare was compromised. Compromised. Even you can say that compromise simply means that welfare was not done. Welfare was not given top priority, and welfare was replaced with something else, which was believed more worthy of attention than welfare. So if something is compromised, it's not done. It was put on the back burner, or it was put in the cool bag, right? So it is not given any priority if something is compromised. Even you might have heard that two people, A and B, they were found in compromising situation. Compromising situation. It means they both consented to have some kind of immoral act, and they were seen, the people who caught them red-handed, they were found in compromising situation, right? It means they both consented to a compromising situation. If you say that some kind of you open up a factory, or you open up where people can deposit some money for the welfare of the community, even that account is compromised, that was compromised. It means it was used not for the purpose it was meant, but for something which is illegal or invalid, or the purpose was completely compromised. Correct? So compromise is a wonderful word. Respirators. Respirators, you can understand, it is a kind of mask. It's a kind of mask, and kind of mask you might have seen. So it protects you, mask which saves us from breathing in the poisonous gases, or poisonous elements, or anything poisonous, etc., present in atmosphere. Right? So a respirator is a kind of mask which covers a large amount of face, or more amount of face. It protects us from breathing in the poisonous gases or elements which are hydrocarbons, which are present in the atmosphere. We call it respirators. Do not confuse them with ventilators. Ventilators come. Ventilators are a machine, and this machine helps a human to breathe in, to breathe in, inhale or breathe out. Right? When oxygen, when O2 is not adequate, is not enough. So inhaling and exhaling. Ventilators make it possible. It's a machine, and when something is on ventilator, it's a phrase too, then the situation is not normal. The situation is believed to be serious. Even you can use it in the normal life. The government is on ventilator. It means government needs care, intensive care. The preparation is on ventilator. The fate is on ventilator. The destiny is on ventilator. The nation is on ventilator. Alright, the future is on ventilator. We can coin our own phrases. We can understand how can we use a ventilator easily in our normal life. Correct? Alright, this word is the word that has it's not being coined. It was there. It's been there for a long time. Epidemiologist, right? And who are the epidemiologists? They are the people who can tell more about disease, who can tell more about disease, its distribution, right? Disease and its distribution, and measures. That how can it be contained or controlled. They are most important people. They are VVIP these days. They can talk about disease, they can tell about the nature of the disease, how does it behave, when will it come, when it will come as catastrophic, when it will come and it will come as a scourge, or the intensity or the fatality of disease could be what? It would be voluminous, or it would be severe, or it would be intensified, or it would be ultra severe. What kind of severity is going to be? They can tell us about that. They can talk about the distribution, how the disease is going to spread, how the disease is going to be going to infect the other people, and what the safety measures could be taken in order to flatten the curve. So measures, safety measures, or preemptive measures, we can say preemptive. Before something is going to happen, we want to stop it. We want to take some measures which could possibly ward off, which could possibly fend off the incursion of disease. Epidemiologist. Epidemiologist, right? Epidemiologist, right? So pronounced correctly. Pathogen. What pathogen is? Pathogen is nothing but viral agent. Viral agent. In simpler language, or virus, you can talk about that. Virus. Any kind of virus. Pathogen could be any. It could be virus, it could be any other thing too. So in simple words, you can say the viral agent that show the presence in your body that you have contracted some disease like novel coronavirus. So pathogens, they attack us, and viral agents are seen. They are telescoped, and with this machine they can be ascertained, and they can be confirmed that a particular person has contracted the disease. Next word, lockdown. First time we could understand lockdown even when I believe 1908 lockdown was heard when flu attacked, and the scourge of incursion of flu that time, thousands and millions of people, they have to lose their lives. And the plague, even the swine flu, one soldier got infected, and I believe, I'm not sure, I think 70 lakh people died, right? Somewhere crores people died. In America, one soldier got infected. So lockdown is the regions were completely locked. No movement, no movement, no movement from city A to city B or city B to city A. It means no transportation, no transport, right? So no transport, no traffic. Not only not only not only externally but internally also, intra. Even the traffic inside a city is stopped, and all people stay home, and they do not go out unnecessarily. For definite hours, the markets are open. Even there are some severity, and it is so intensified. The intensity of severity is even the markets are not opened, not even for some particular or definite hours. And a very severe lockdown is maintained, right? So lockdown we could experience this time, and lockdown nobody would like to live in a lockdown condition. Social distance, the people are not socializing, they're not meeting each other, and they maintain distance. They do not visit, they do not see each other regularly, and they like to go away from each other for some time until the situation is brought under control. So social distance, it means the people people do not like to see each other. They are not socializing at all. We call it social distance. They maintain a distance, not 2 yards distance, 2 गज की दूरी. We're not talking about that. But social distance is we're not even meeting. We are staying at home, not temporarily, but for the announced period, and we are being watched. We are under scanner. We are under radar of government, and they can punish us, and they can punish us severely if we break the condition of social distance. Right? Quarantine. It's a nice word that in when we talk about, I think 40 or 50 years ago, quarantine was 40 days. Now it is reduced to 14 days. Quarantine is a period when a COVID, a positive person, when a positive who has tested positive, and he or she will have to live in a room. This is the room. Nobody would have any kind of treatment, or rather meeting, or have any conversation. We can have conversation. We are not leaving the person alone. We are just asking him to leave at a distance. We are not leaving him alone and aloof. We have asked him to be away, to keep a distance for some time, and after the symptoms vanish, disappear, and he really comes back to his condition restores to the normalcy, then he is brought back and he mingles with the people he was living with. So quarantine is a way of living to somewhere we call it self-quarantine, somewhere that if you visit a country and you are screened and you test positive by considering your temperature, you are screened, and after considering temperature, your temperature is more than required. You are feverish, so you are given some time, and you are not allowed to mingle with people, and you are sent to a place, the quarantine centers, and you need to live there for 14 days under the specialized people, the specialists who watch over you and who diagnose you and who treat you. And after 14 days, you're allowed, when you test negative, you're allowed to go back to your work. Right? So it's not only happening internally in the country, it can happen outside, overseas, when you land on the foreign soil, and you are quarantined there after checking your temperature. Right? So quarantine We used to be 40 days, but used to be 40 days, you remember? Used to be 40 days, but now currently it is currently it is 14 days, right? Community transmission or community spread. When community, it means in Mumbai what happened, community transmission started, and the whole community got infected, and it was so fast that it became unstoppable. The machinery collapsed, and it became a wildfire. It became out of control, and the machinery succumbed to the crisis, and they could not do anything. They failed to control and contain it, and then we called it community transmission. We feared that normal transmission, normal spread should not turn into community transmission or community spread. It means community transmission or spread means large number of people are getting disease, contracting disease, and they are infecting more or the greater number of people who were normal, and the spread is fast and intensified by community transmission, right? Asymptomatic is a nice word. Remember, asymptomatic is a wonderful word because it's look at asymptomatic and see asymptomatic. How do we speak it? Asymptomatic is a word showing no signs, showing no symptom, no symptom of COVID. This is asymptomatic. So it was the initial phase when the people were showing some symptoms. After when the virus mutated and mutation was happening, and then people were noticed and people were watched and they were diagnosed and examined that they are getting asymptomatic. It means they were not showing the signs which were catalogued by the doctors, which were the list of the symptoms were not visible in the patient, so they became asymptomatic. Now I'm saying asymptomatic can also be used in normal life. Example, if you are asymptomatic, it means you have slight behavior. It means you can bottle up emotions, right? You do not allow the other people to know what is on your mind, what is happening. You just don't show your cards, and you keep it a mystery, keep it an enigma, that you do not let the other people know what you have on your mind. And it means you are asymptomatic. You are not showing the signs of whether you are on a particular side, or you are sitting on the fence, or you are just testing somebody, examining somebody. It means what you are thinking is not known to other people. The manifestation or the display, or you are not exhibiting the sign of what is happening inside you. So you do not show the sign. Asymptomatic. Sometimes you go for an interview, and your interviewer calls you that you are asymptomatic. You are not showing any sign that you want to join after being successful, after successfully cracking the interview, answering all questions posed to you. You are not showing the signs that positive signs, not positive COVID, but a good signs that you want to join the particular service that you have been chosen for, right? So you are asymptomatic. So we should not bottle up our feelings. Sometimes it turned out to be scourge and fatal, or turned out to be something which the wind does not really blow the way we want it, and we need to pay dearly for that. So do not become asymptomatic. Pandemic. A pandemic simply means pan. Pan means when we have the large area, or rather if I say pan-India movement, it means a movement, a nationwide movement. The whole India is engaged in that movement. Pandemic, kind of epidemic, which has spread all over the country. So that is called pandemic. A pandemic, this time the pandemic is corona, because it has the blanket of the disease has covered the entire world, and every country is suffering from disease. It means pandemic. It means the geographical boundaries were completely dismissed by COVID-19 coronavirus, and it has intruded uninvitedly into the areas and regions and the geographical boundaries where it was feared. So no boundaries. Pandemic everywhere in the world has come into a small sphere. And epidemic just means that there's a region, particular region, a smaller region, it could be a country, it could be a district, it could be a small area. It could be a limited area where it can be contained. Limited area. So we call it epidemic. There was some smallpox in Mumbai or somewhere, even plague that was contained in India. So it was epidemic, like malaria and typhoid. Sometimes they can turn into epidemic. Some of the influenza, there are some chickenpox or some other epidemic kind of that they stop themselves to a limited period, limited area, and they do not cross the boundaries, geographical boundaries, and cover the entire world with a blanket of disease that is called pandemic. Large area pandemic, small area contained, or it has been stopped or limited to a smaller area is epidemic. Epicenter. Epicenter simply means that the intensity, where the intensity is the highest. It could be of COVID intensity. It was said Wuhan in China. The China lab was the epicenter. Even in Wuhan was the epicenter. And then epicenter is not only used for COVID or disease or pandemic. It can also be used in calamities. Calamity, like earthquake. Even it could be the intensity on the seismograph. It shows the intensity was 6.8 or somewhere, 10 kilometers, under the crust, or somewhere 10 kilometers off the sea coast, or anywhere under the sea, or somewhere deep below. So we call it epicenter even in the earthquake. The highest, the highest intensity. Place or center of highest intensity of COVID, any disease or any calamity, right? Next word. Contagion. There was a movie in America, and that movie is believed, people say it is rumored that the movie was a kind of an early message or early, something. It was a kind of preview of the pandemic when it did not hit so severely. Contagion was the movie which showed us a preview what could happen. Disease could spell disaster in the years to come. It ended. So contagion, it means infectious. So coronavirus is contagious. It is contagion. It is infectious. So even we can use it in the negative and the positive both ways. You can say the laughter, his laughter is contagious. His laughter is contagious. So good vocabulary that you have the ability to play with the words. You can use them to your own benefit, to your own skill. Your skills should improve, blossom, and you should attract the nice words and summon them. When you summon them and invoke them, they should be at your disposal. So laughter is contagious, laughter is infectious. Even you can use it in a negative way. His virtuosity was infectious. Even the good deeds of the people, good manifestation, good habits of people, it means they infect a large number of people in an intensified way much sooner. Positive way. We can use it in the negative way too. For example, his vices were contagious. It means vices spread so fast that they gripped a large number of people. They arrested them, right? So both positive and negative, contagion or contagious or infectious, can be used. Next word, outbreak. Outbreak is just that if I say breakout, something spread. Outbreak, suddenly coronavirus outbreak spread, suddenly like wildfire, right? Outbreak, even if I say breakout, the corona broke out, and you understand that there's a phrasal verb, and you can understand broke out, and the outbreak is just a noun, becomes a noun. Outbreak is spread of a disease or anything, any news or information or bit of rumor or whatever you can think of, we can have the outbreak of that, right? Zoonotic, right? Zoonotic, nice word. Now what zoonotic is? First you need to understand, because I have given how the phonetics is going to work, and you can have many benefits from this exercise, this video. You can understand of a disease able to spread from animals to humans, zoonotic, right? So you can understand of a disease, corona disease, which is believed to which is believed to have originated from animals, and it has spread to humans. So we call it zoonotic, right? Next word is flu. It's a disease, so nothing like flu. Do not pronounce it flu or blue. So it's flu, like blue, like flu, FLEW. Other words, but they have the same sound. Flu, blue, flu, right? Flu is a disease. I'm sorry. Next word, dry. You can see this word I have always stressed, I've always emphasized. Dry. Cough. It is cough, not cuff, right? At the end of your sleeves, we have, if you have full sleeve, and you have cough. Oh, I'm sorry, that is cuff, and that is at the end of shirt. That is cuff. That is related to shirts, right? That is cuff, but it is cough, that we call kind of in Hindi khasi, cough. One of the symptoms of COVID-19, cough, right? Dry, cough. Even you can use this word cough. Sometimes you need to cough up. If I tell you, let me give you one more phrase, cough up. So when you cough up, something comes out of your mouth, and through droplets reaches you. So this is the condition. Cough up, you cough up, mucus comes out, from flame comes out, right? You're not talking about that cough up also. In other example also, different example, sometimes you need to cough up, you need to spend money or give money, right? Unwillingly cough up. We can unwillingly. You can also, you need to cough up 3,000 for this. We don't want, but we have to, right? Cough up means also that. So self-isolation. If you keep yourself at home, so if you keep yourself in seclusion for some time, rather, I'm using the word seclusion. So if you seclude yourself for some time, and the reclusive behavior, they are different, monk and hermit kind of thing. So I'm using this word here. If you allow yourself to live in seclusion for some time, you isolate yourself. Just there are many people, your relatives, your kith and kin, your kindred. You are living here, distance, isolate. You isolate yourself, right? You keep yourself away from them, right? In order to stop the spread. In order to stop the spread. To stop the spread. The spread. Even sometimes you have to isolate yourself from family. आप अपनी फैमिली से भी अपने को अलग करते हैं. So your kith and kin, your kith and kin, your kindred, the people who the people who love you, you even isolate yourself from those people too. So isolate to keep yourself off. Shortness of breath, one of the symptoms that COVID-19 exhibits, patients exhibit. Shortness. See here, shortness. It means if I need to tell you the symbol shortness, schwa, off. We call it off, but it is of rather, of, of. So it is schwa of. Shortness of breath. So when we really speed up our conversation or the way we speak, so we can speak like that. Shortness of breath. Shortness of breath, right? So you feel panting, right? A kind of gasping, right? And oxygen is felt low. Oxygen carrying capacity is felt low, and you feel shortness of breath. You start panting or start gasping for more amount of oxygen. Right, so thank you so much. And you need to understand the magical terminology that we have discussed. I have tried my best. I've tried to let you know everything that I have collected or assembled for you. And I believe you must have enjoyed. Perhaps the video might have gone longer. It may have got the length which I did not expect. But alright, it's okay. All's well that ends well. It should be acceptable when knowledge is concerned, and I hope you will espouse the good cause of learning, because learning is everything we have respected from time immemorial. So keep the virtue on, keep the fire on, and keep the virtuosity of Lord Rama in your heart. God bless you. Take care of yourselves. Have a good time.